Welcome back. So in our last video, we talked about our microbiomes and how we can take care of them. Today, we are going to specifically talk about what dairy and saturated fat do inside of our bodies. So let's start with dairy. We know that dairy is the milk from a lactating cow. Like all mammals, dairy contains the hormones that all mammals produce when they feed their young. Estrogens and growth hormones, because a mother's milk is the most efficient way to grow a baby healthy and quickly. So when we are consuming dairy, we're just getting little traces of those hormones. But because we consume so many varieties of dairy throughout our day and throughout our week, those traces of hormones are adding up, especially when you consider that cheese is pretty much a concentration of dairy, therefore a concentration of those added hormones. Because of these estrogens and growth hormones that we are consuming so much of, it's wreaking havoc on women's menstrual cycles. Girls are starting their periods far younger. Our periods are more irregular, they're heavier. The extra estrogens cause our uterine lining to be a lot thicker. Common diseases are now PCOS, and we also know that dairy has a direct effect on infertility. So other ways that dairy is impacting us is because of these growth hormones that we're consuming more of. Cancers that feed off of those growth hormones obviously are going to have a higher chance of growing in our bodies. So prostate cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancers, all cancers that feed on excess hormones are going to grow because they're being exposed to all of these hormones. They also have found a direct link between consuming dairy and type 2 diabetes. The new and exciting research is now looking at its link with type 1 diabetes. And the researchers who study this have found enough information in what they're seeing to give advice to their patients if they have type 1 diabetes in their family to cut all dairy out of their diet as a way to reduce the risk of their children developing type 1 diabetes. All right, let's talk saturated fat. So saturated fat is mostly known as animal fat, but it doesn't just have to come from animals, and there is no healthy version or healthier version of saturated fat. Sometimes we think, oh, fish or chicken or turkey burger, it's all so much healthier. It's all saturated fat. Also, you don't just have to eat animals to get saturated fat. So coconut oil is really high in saturated fat. I know a lot of people think that coconut oil for some reason is a health food. Olive oil, palm fruit oil, avocados have saturated fat in them, nuts. So you don't just get saturated fat from meat. It comes from all different sources, and we need to minimize it from every source we could be getting it from. Why does this matter? So our liver is responsible for filtering through all the nutrients that we eat, and we gunk it up by eating too much sugar or too much fat. So we used to see men with the big beer belly. It's because alcohol turns into sugar in the liver and would give them that beer belly. Now we can call it fatty liver disease belly. That hard protruding belly is the sign of an overtaxed liver. So when your body can't keep up with the amount of fat you are giving to it, it starts to deposit fat on the outside of it. And then as it continues to perform sluggishly because you are overfeeding it things it doesn't know how to digest as quickly as what you're feeding it, you get that effect of a nice abdomen full of belly fat. And this belly fat also happens to store excess hormones in the fat cells. So you get a double whammy of hormonal imbalance and excess fat that is damaging to those internal organs. So then you're leading to chronic diseases like diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, and even Alzheimer's and dementia. So the researchers have been calling Alzheimer's pretty much heart disease of the brain. The same arteries that can get clogged throughout our bodies by eating high amounts of saturated fat also get clogged in our brains as they're trying to get the blood and nutrients we need to our brain there. They're getting clogged with this excess saturated fat. So if you want to protect your brain and your body, minimize or completely cut out saturated fat and dairy from your diet. Take an honest look at how you are eating every day. Are you used to hearing this now at the end of all these videos? Sometimes we're not aware of just how much fat we're eating. And this may fly in the face of some of the popular diets out there today, you know, the high fat, low carb. And they do have effects of helping you look trimmer. But have you heard the stories about the athletes who look super healthy but still die of a heart attack? We are looking for research that's long-term, that shows a long-term look at how what we eat affects our health. And this is what the research is saying that dairy and saturated fat does to our bodies. And now you know. All right, we'll see you next time for our last video.